Ever feel like those robots everyone's talking about are about to show up at our jobs? Like, maybe even snag our favorite barista's gig?
Yeah.
Well, get ready because today's deep dive throws us right into that future. We're diving into post-labor liberation, a story that doesn't hold back.
Oh, really? What's it about?
It paints a picture of a world where AI can practically do anything a human can, but better, faster.
And probably without needing coffee breaks.
Exactly. And to help us unpack all of this is our expert, ready to dissect the big and kind of scary questions this story throws at us.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So the story starts with human-centered robotics, HCR. For short, think of them as the Google of robots.
Okay, I'm picturing robots doing my online shopping now.
Pretty much. They're top dog in the tech world, creating AI and robots that are making humans look, well, a little slow.
I can see where this is going. The classic robots taking over scenario.
You got it. But what's really interesting is how the story uses HCR to show us a mini version of what could happen to our whole society, like a sneak peek into a future run by AI.
A little unsettling, but fascinating at the same time. So how does this all go down?
Well, that's where we meet Ryan, one of the main characters. He's the software manager at HCR living the tech dream, right?
Sounds like a dream job.
Until it isn't. Imagine walking into work every day, seeing those robots getting smarter, and your own to-do list shrinking. Not exactly what you'd call job security.
Yeah, I'd be sweating a little if I were Ryan.
Remember that statistic about Ryan's team's productivity skyrocketing by 652% thanks to AI? That's the kind of number that makes you wonder if you should be updating your resume.
And I bet the story doesn't let us forget the human side of all this.
Absolutely not. It captures that feeling of being caught in the middle of this massive shift. Ryan has to lay off members of his team, people he cares about, because the robots are just that good.
It's a tough situation to celebrate the progress or fear the consequences.
Right. And for Ryan, it gets really personal. He's got a family, bills just like the rest of us. And the story doesn't shy away from that very real fear. What happens when our jobs are gone? How will we survive?
That's a heavy question a lot of us are asking these days. So what happens next? Does everyone at HCR panic?
Pretty much. There's this sense of unease that starts to spread through the company like wildfire. The story really captures the whispers, the arguments about budgets and who's actually essential anymore.
Can you imagine that pressure cooker?
And then comes the all-hands meeting, that dreaded moment we've probably all experienced.
Oh, I know that feeling. Your stomach drops, you can practically hear your heart beating.
You can practically feel the tension in the room, right? Everyone holding their breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
So what happens? Do they announce company-wide layoffs?
It's even bigger than that.
Yeah.
The CEO, Marcus Forrest, walks in and drops a bombshell.
This CEO, he gets up on stage, looks out at all these people who are probably expecting the worst, and announces he's giving away most of his wealth.
Hold on, seriously, he's just like, here's a giant check for everyone.
Basically, millions of dollars per person, plus stock options. Even the folks he just laid off, they get a cut too.
Wow. That's like some next level stuff right there. It's like he's trying to out Elon Musk. But it wasn't even his idea originally.
Right. This is where his AI assistant, Alfred, comes in. And not just some Siri or Alexa. We're talking about a seriously advanced AI.
The story makes it clear this Alfred is practically another character, like unnervingly smart.
Totally. Alfred is the one who lays out the logic for why everyone deserves a piece of the pie, so to speak, that AI is baking.
It kind of makes you wonder, are we all just working for the robots in the end?
It's a question the story wants us to ask, for sure. And what Alfred argues is all this data that makes AI so powerful, our pictures, our music, even our dumb tweets, it all comes from us humans. So shouldn't we all share in the rewards?
That's where things start to feel really real. It's not just about robots taking jobs anymore. It's about how the benefits of technology get shared.
Or don't.
And the story doesn't pretend like everyone's suddenly doing cartwheels just because they're millionaires. Right, even with millions in the bank, it's got to mess with your head a bit. Imagine that, your whole career, your identity built around work, and then poof, gone.
It's like winning the lottery, but instead of a giant check, you win a whole lot of free time and a robot to do your dishes. It's a mixed bag of emotions.
Big time. So is this whole robot revolution thing just happening at this one company?
Definitely not. This is global. The story shows us protests, people struggling to figure out this new reality where jobs are disappearing faster than you can say automation.
So post-labor liberation, this isn't all Sunshine and robots making us margaritas on the beach.
Not quite. There are bumps in the road for sure. But here's where it gets interesting. They actually come up with a solution for this whole work is gone thing. It's called universal high income, or UHI for short.
For those of us who don't speak fluent future tech, what is UHI exactly?
Think of it like this. Everyone gets a paycheck. And not a bad one either, whether they work or not. And guess who's footing the bill? The robots, of course.
The machines are paying us to exist. Wild.
Right. It almost sounds too good to be true, but this is where post-labor liberation really makes you think, what if this did happen in our lifetime? What would you do if work wasn't about survival, but about passion?
And the story is honest that such a massive shift wouldn't be easy.
Not at all. But it does offer this glimmer of hope, you know? It suggests that if we can figure out this whole wealth-sharing thing in the age of AI, something amazing might be possible.
Okay, so walk me through this. How does this whole UHI thing actually work out?
So remember all that global anxiety, the protests we talked about? Well, as this universal high income thing takes hold, something really interesting happens. People start to relax. It's like this collective sigh of relief washes over the world.
And then everyone turns into those cats from those internet memes, just lounging around, living their best lives.
That's the thing, they don't. In fact, the opposite happens. People start exploring their creativity, trying new things, getting involved in their communities. It's like this whole new world of possibilities opens up.
What about Ryan, our software engineer turned accidental millionaire? What does he do with all his newfound freedom?
He becomes a writer, and not just any writer, but a successful one who helps people navigate this new world. He finds a new purpose, a new way to contribute. It's kind of inspiring, actually. And it's not just Ryan finding his way. The story shows us all sorts of people reinventing themselves. Like, there's a former CEO who's now a full-time environmental activist, an accountant who's teaching kids music.
So it's like this whole idea of work just gets flipped on its head.
Exactly. People can actually pursue their passions because their basic needs are met. It's pretty wild.
It's definitely a bit idealistic, but I like it. It's like the story's giving us permission to imagine a future where technology actually helps us create a better world.
Totally. Post-labor liberation reminds us that this isn't about some epic battle between humans and robots. It's about figuring out how we can all thrive together.
But that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is all fictional.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we can't learn from it. The story raises some really crucial questions we need to grapple with now. Like, if AI is creating all this wealth, who controls it? How do we make sure it benefits everyone? These are conversations we can't afford to ignore.
It's like that scene in the story where Ryan's at this big global summit years after this whole UBI thing has started. He looks around and he sees people from all walks of life, people who used to have nothing in common, and now they're united by this shared experience of a world without traditional work. Pretty powerful image.
It really is. It gets to the heart of what this whole post-labor liberation thing is really about, finding purpose and meaning in a world where work may not be the thing that defines us anymore.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what's the key takeaway here? What can we take from post-labor liberation and apply to our own lives, even if it's just a story?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we have a choice to make. Do we want to just sit back and watch as technology reshapes our world? Or do we want to be active participants in shaping the future we want to see?
It's about deciding what really matters to us, right? What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind?
Exactly.
It's a lot to think about, for sure. And post-labor liberation doesn't claim to have all the answers.
Definitely not.
But it does get our brains firing, helps us think outside the box. And maybe, just maybe, it gives us a little bit of hope.
Hope that a future where humans and AI can thrive together is actually possible.
And that's a future worth striving for. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into post-labor liberation. Thanks to our amazing expert for breaking it all down with us.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about the future.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep those minds open, keep asking the tough questions, and most importantly, keep imagining the extraordinary.